Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will sting before it sets you free. You are not being used because you are weak. You are being used because you are good, and in this world, goodness without strategy is the loudest invitation a predator ever receives. You smile too easily. You forgive too quickly. You explain yourself to people who were never confused, only calculating. You give second chances to those who studied your first one. And every time you call it kindness, the world calls it opportunity. Wake up. The people who drain you are not confused about who you are. They see you clearly. They see the soft parts you keep advertising. They see the loyalty you hand out like cheap currency. They see the guilt you carry whenever you try to say no, and they build their entire approach around it. Machiavelli warned you 500 years ago, and the warning still bleeds. A man who insists on being good in every situation will be destroyed among the many who are not. Read that again, slowly, because that single sentence explains every betrayal you've swallowed, every favor that turned into a debt, every relationship where you gave everything and walked away with. Nothing but a lesson. Your goodness is not the problem. Your unguarded goodness is. Virtue without teeth is decoration. Kindness without boundaries is bait. And the moment you accept this, something inside you shifts. Quietly, permanently. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop performing for people who clap with one hand and stab with the other. From this point forward, you are not becoming cruel. You are becoming awake. And awake men are never used twice. The Machiavellian awakening. Seeing people as they are. The first lie they sold you was that people are mostly good. They are not. People are mostly self-interested, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop bleeding from wounds you keep walking into. Machiavelli did not hate humanity. He simply refused to romanticize it. He looked at men the way a surgeon looks at a body, without sentiment, without illusion, without the comforting fog most people call optimism. And that is exactly the lens you must build inside yourself now. Stop asking who someone says they are. Start watching what they do when nothing is at stake, and what they do when everything is. People reveal themselves in two moments, when they have power over you and when they need something from you. Study those two moments like a scholar studies scripture. The friend who disappears the second you stop being useful was never your friend. He was a transaction, wearing a smile. The partner who only loves you when you perform was never in love. She was in negotiation. The boss who praises you publicly and starves you privately is not confused. He is strategic. None of this is cruelty on your part to recognize. It is clarity. And clarity is the first weapon a free man ever picks up. Notice the patterns. Notice the timing of their kindness. Notice who shows up when you are winning and who vanishes when you are quiet. Notice the eyes. Eyes never lie when the mouth is working too hard. From today onward, you do not judge people by their words. You judge them by their consistency, their incentives, and their behavior under pressure. That is not paranoia. That is power. And power begins the moment illusion ends. The predator's map. How manipulators spot the kind. Now, I want you to see yourself through the eyes of the people who use you. Because until you understand how predators read you, you will keep handing them the map. They are not guessing. They are scanning. Every manipulator, the charming friend, the calculating partner, the smiling colleague, runs a silent checklist the moment they meet you. They watch how quickly you apologize for things that aren't your fault. That is signal one. They watch how desperately you fill silences in conversation. That is signal two. They watch whether you over-explain, overshare, overgive within the first hour of knowing them. That is signal three. They notice if you laugh at jokes that weren't funny, Agree with opinions you don't hold. Soften your voice to keep the peace. Each of these is a flag, and they are reading every flag you fly. They look for the man who needs to be liked, because a man who needs to be liked can be controlled with approval and starved with silence. They look for the woman who fears conflict, because a woman who fears conflict will tolerate slow violence dressed as love. They look for the kind soul who confuses guilt with conscience, because guilt is the easiest leash ever invented. Understand this clearly. You have been broadcasting your weaknesses without knowing it. Your eagerness to please, your terror of disappointing others, your inability to sit with someone's discomfort. These are not virtues. They are doors. And manipulators don't kick doors down. They walk through the ones you leave open. From now on, those doors close. Quietly. Permanently. Without explanation. The mask of virtue, Machiavelli's first law of power. Machiavelli wrote one line that changed how power has been played for 5 centuries. It is not necessary for a prince to possess all virtues, but it is absolutely necessary that he appear to possess them. Read that twice, then read it a third time, because that single sentence is the doorway you have been refusing to walk through. You were taught that transparency is honesty. It is not. Transparency in a world full of opportunists is surrender. The man who shows everything, every emotion, every plan, every wound, every weakness, is not noble. He is naked in a room full of people sharpening knives. Virtue is not the problem. Visibility is. From this moment forward, you will learn the difference between being good and looking readable. You can be honest without being transparent. You can be kind without being predictable. You can be loyal without being loud about it. The mask Machiavelli speaks of is not a lie. It is a filter. It controls what enters, what exits, and what the world is permitted to see. Smile when it serves you. Stay silent when it serves you more. Let people underestimate you, because every underestimation is an unguarded entry point in their strategy. Reveal your strength slowly, your weaknesses never, and your intentions only when the move is already made. The men who win quietly understand this. They do not announce their plans. They do not perform their pain. They do not explain their power. They move, they watch, they adjust. The world will reward you not for who you are, but for what it is allowed to perceive. So decide today, with cold clarity, what the world gets to see. And bury the rest where no one can dig. Silence as a weapon, the dark art of withholding. There is a sound more powerful than any argument you will ever make, and most men never learn to use it. Silence. Real silence. The kind that does not flinch, does not explain, does not chase. The world has trained you to fill every gap with words, to defend yourself the moment you are misunderstood, to clarify, to justify, to negotiate your worth in front of people who already decided not to see it. Stop. From today you withhold, not out of cruelty, but out of strategy. Every word you speak is information, and information in the wrong hands becomes ammunition. The man who explains himself constantly is the man easiest to dismantle, because he hands his enemies the blueprint of his mind. Watch how the powerful operate. They speak less. They pause longer. They let questions hang in the air until the other person collapses into honesty. Silence creates pressure, and pressure reveals character. When someone insults you, do not rush to defend. Let the silence answer. When someone tests you, do not perform. Let the silence answer. When someone demands access to your private world, do not open the gate just because they knocked. Let the silence answer. Withholding is not weakness, it is sovereignty. You do not owe everyone an explanation, an emotion, or an update on your life. The less they know, the more they speculate. The more they speculate, the more carefully they tread. Mystery is not a trick, it is a wall, and every man who refuses to build that wall becomes a public square where strangers walk through whenever they please. From now on, your inner world is private property. Trespassers will be met with one weapon only: the cold, calm, deliberate silence of a man who has finally learned its value. The cold boundary. When kindness must become a blade. There comes a moment in every man's life when he must decide whether his kindness will continue to bleed him or finally begin to defend him. That moment is now. Boundaries are not walls built out of anger. They are blades forged out of self-respect. And until you learn to draw them without trembling, you will keep being treated as territory instead of a man. Understand this: every yes you give out of fear is a no you are saying to yourself. Every favor you grant out of guilt is a quiet betrayal of your own future. Every relationship you tolerate out of loneliness is a slow execution of the man you were meant to become. The cold boundary is not loud, it does not argue, it does not announce itself, it simply enforces. When someone crosses you, you do not lecture them, you remove access. When someone disrespects you, you do not perform outrage, you remove warmth. When someone takes your loyalty and returns nothing, you do not beg for reciprocation. You remove yourself. No speech, no drama, no second chances dressed as forgiveness. Just consequence, delivered in silence, carried out with finality. People will call you cold. Let them. Coldness is what kindness becomes when it finally grows a spine. The world does not respect men who explain their boundaries. It respects men who enforce them without flinching. Your softness was never the enemy. Your inability to weaponize it was. From this day, your kindness has terms. Your time has price tags. Your presence has admission. The ones who deserve you will rise to meet your standards. The ones who don't will disappear from your life on their own, and you will not chase a single one of them. That, finally, is freedom. Loyalty is a currency. Stop giving it for free. Loyalty is the most expensive thing a man owns, and you have been giving yours away like spare change to people who did not even pause to count it. Stop. Loyalty is not a feeling. It is a currency, and like all currency, it loses its value the moment you spend it on the wrong person. You were taught that being loyal makes you noble. It does not. Being loyal to those who have proven nothing makes you naive. There is a difference between devotion and desperation, and most men confuse the two until life teaches them with a knife. Look around carefully. Count how many people in your life would still stand beside you if you had nothing left to offer them. Count how many would still call you if your name stopped being useful. Count how many would defend you in the room you just walked out of. The number is smaller than you think, and that number is your real circle. Everyone else is an audience pretending to be family. From now on, loyalty in your life must be earned in silence and proven in absence. Not in good times. Anyone can clap when the music plays. Watch who stays when the music stops. Watch who shows up when there is nothing in it for them. Watch who protects your name when you are not in the room. Those are the only people who deserve the rare, expensive, irreplaceable gift of your loyalty. To everyone else, you give cooperation, courtesy, professionalism, but never that sacred inner allegiance reserved for proven men. Machiavelli understood this with brutal clarity. A wise man does not place his trust in the loyalty of others. He places it in their incentives. Read incentives, not promises. Watch behavior, not words. And never again bleed for people who would not even bandage you. Becoming feared, not hated, the balance of untouchability. Machiavelli asked the question every powerful man eventually faces: is it better to be loved or feared? And his answer was surgical. If you cannot have both, it is far safer to be feared. But hear this carefully, because most men misunderstand the line and ruin themselves with it. Feared does not mean hated. Feared does not mean cruel. Feared means unpredictable in your strength, certain in your consequence, and impossible to manipulate without cost. The man who is only loved is used. The man who is only hated is hunted. But the man who is respected with a quiet edge of fear, he is left alone, dealt with carefully, and spoken about in lowered voices. That is the territory you are walking into now. You build this presence not by raising your voice, but by lowering your tolerance. Not by threatening, but by following through every single time someone tests a line. People do not fear loud men. They fear consistent men. The one who said no last week and means it again this week. The one who walked away from a friendship and never looked back. The one who closed a door and did not reopen it for apologies, performances, or nostalgia. That kind of man becomes folklore in his own circles. Hated men provoke war. Feared men prevent it. The trick is to remain just generous enough that no one wants you as an enemy, and just unreadable enough that no one dares treat you as prey. You smile, but they cannot decode the smile. You give, but they cannot predict the giving. You stay calm, but the calmness itself feels like weather before a storm. That is untouchability, not hardness, not arrogance. A quiet, controlled gravity that makes the world step carefully around you. The quiet reconstruction, building the new you. Now comes the part no one talks about. The part that happens in silence, away from cameras, away from applause, away from the people who knew the old version of you. The reconstruction. Because everything I have told you so far means nothing if you do not disappear for a while and rebuild yourself in the dark. Powerful men are not made in public. They are forged in private rooms, in unanswered messages, in long walks where they finally stop lying to themselves. Your old self served you well. It survived. But survival and sovereignty are not the same thing. The man who used to apologize for existing must die, so the man who commands respect can be born. And that death is quiet. You stop announcing your plans. You stop seeking permission. You stop explaining your transformation to people who only knew you as soft. Some friendships will not survive this version of you. Let them go. Some relationships will feel the shift and panic. Let them panic. Some family members will accuse you of changing. Smile. And keep changing. Begin the disciplines that no one will see. Train your body until it obeys you. Train your mind until it filters every emotion before it leaves your mouth. Train your finances until no one's mood can dictate your meals. Read what powerful men have read for centuries, not to impress, but to think clearly when life gets sharp. Sleep early, speak less, watch more, move with intention, not reaction. And every single day, in the silence of your own room, remind yourself who you are becoming. The world will notice eventually. It always does. But by then, you will no longer need its noticing, because you will have already become the man no one is ever allowed to use again. The final order. Walk out untouchable. So here is the final order, and I want you to receive it like a man receiving his own name for the first time. You were not born to be used. You were not built to apologize for existing. You were not placed on this earth to bleed quietly so that weaker people could feel comfortable around you. That era of your life ends today. From this moment, you walk differently. You speak less. You watch more. You give your loyalty like a king signing a treaty, rarely, carefully, and only to those who have earned the ink. You wear the mask when the world demands theater, and you remove it only in rooms that have proven safe. You enforce your boundaries without raising your voice, because real power never has to shout. You become the man who is respected in silence, feared in restraint, and remembered long after he leaves the room. Now do one thing for me before you go. In the comments below, drop your own personal war cry, a single unique, empowering phrase that marks the version of you that dies today and the version that rises tomorrow. Make it sharp. Make it yours. Make it the line you whisper to yourself when the world tries to shrink you again. And if anything in this monologue cut through the noise, if even one sentence rearranged something inside you, then hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell, because the next lesson will sharpen you further, and you do not want to miss the moment it arrives. Now close this video. Stand up, straighten your back, and walk out untouchable. The world has had enough of the old you. It is time it met the new one.